Hey everyone, welcome into Market Takes. We are starting a little bit late today, had to get over some technical difficulties. I appreciate y'all being patient with me. I know you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. I appreciate that. I never forget about it. So apologies for our late start, but let's jump into it. This week we have a big week. Earnings season has already kicked into full swing, so I'm going to be telling you about that, but also the three most important things that you need to be watching out for this week. Not all of them are earnings reports, but some of them are. Listen, we've got the retail sales report that's coming out tomorrow. Hope you'll be with us right here, 10 a.m. on Market Takes. We'll be breaking that down. That comes out tomorrow morning. We also have the leading economic indicators report. That's coming out on Thursday. And earnings season, we got kicked off with the banks last week. This week, we've got Tesla, United, Netflix, Johnson and Johnson, Capital One, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, and much, much more. We'll tell you what you need to watch and what to watch out for in those earnings reports. So let's start it off talking to you about retail sales and what we can expect from the retail sales report for June that's coming out a little later this month. First things first, I want to throw up here on your screen the latest numbers that we've seen from the retail sales report. And as you see there, some of those numbers are going negative. You see really for the past 7 months, we've seen negative reports on that retail sales number. So we have seen over the past couple months a pick back up like we saw in January and a reversal of that early trend. It seemed like, okay, the trend was just going to be negative going forward, but the last couple months we have seen positive numbers, and economists are predicting that we will see an increase of 0.5% month over month. That would be the biggest increase we'd seen since that January number that we got in February that you see there, that big pickup. So economists are expecting retail sales to start rising again, and this chart just illustrating that we really did break away from that trend that we had seen of retail sales being negative, folks not buying, staying home. They're clearly coming out and going shopping again. As we look inside the report, it's going to be interesting though, as retail sales pick back up, we're going to have to dig into the details. So how hot are the services components? Bars, restaurants, attorneys, all those things, barbers, things like that where you're getting a service performed. Is that hot? Because that's what's really picking up and pushing inflation higher. And that's what the Fed's going to be watching out for. So you are going to want to watch out for that as well. And are they slowing? Goods prices have been slowing. We've seen energy, gasoline prices, or prices at gas stations going down. So does that continue? And what is really going to be the key is that services component. June will be the last month of the second quarter, so this could have a big impact on earnings expectations as well. Next thing I want to talk about is the leading economic indicators, or the index of leading economic indicators. Let's put a chart right up here on your screen, what we've seen from that. Here's why this is a big deal. As you see on the right of your screen, we have been substantially and significantly negative, and every time that the leading economic index has been this low, we've had a recession. So you see those light gray bars there on your chart, those are recessions, and every time that we get to this level we are right now, when you see the decline, we have a recession. And this chart really just, again, illustrates that historical theme that we have seen over time. Leading economic indicators are things like the S&P 500, but also the interest rate, the 10-year treasury minus the Fed funds rate, credit indexes. They also look at things like business surveys, ISM, and S&P 500, or the S&P, global index of service or purchasing managers, manufacturers' new orders, how are the manufacturing industry doing, things like that. And those tell us about the economic indicators. Those are indicators of what's going on in the economy. It's been a long-term accurate recession indicator for a long time, and it is strongly pointing towards recession right now. Other thing, listen, it's earnings season, and what I want to throw up here on your screen right now is what we've seen from the S&P 500 stock index. And clearly, one part of the LEI that has been moving higher, especially in recent months, you see there really just the stock market taking off over the last couple months. That's a 6-month chart going back to March, and I'm sorry, this is a 3-month chart just going back there towards March, and you've seen really a big pickup going on in the stock market, and especially over the last couple months. That just illustrating again the bullish sentiment that we are seeing from Wall Street on those investor sides, but businesses really have not continued to do that. So we need to hear from them this week in terms of that bullish sentiment. So analysts are predicting that we will have the biggest earnings decline in 3 years, but they also predict the S&P 500 will go up another 9% over the next year. Those two things really don't go together, especially when the Fed has interest rates high like they do right now. So what do we got this week? We've got Tesla. Listen, Tesla's up 160% so far this year, year to date. Is that going to continue? Last quarter, the earnings were not so great. We saw net income down 24%. And also Tesla launched a bit of a price war in the electric vehicle space. So We are going to see just how that's going for Tesla. We've also got Netflix coming out this week. How did that crackdown on password sharing go? You guys have probably heard about that if you haven't experienced it yourself. That was supposed to deliver a lot of new signups, and it's first, when they first announced this back at the end of May, we saw a blog post from Antenna. It's the service provider, and they chart things like online signups. They said Netflix got 100,000 daily new signups on May 26th and 27th. So we'll see. We'll find out in the earnings report if that delivered. There were a lot of big promises made, predictions of $1.3 billion in profit, 3.4% growth. We'll see if they actually delivered on those. United Airlines, another one we will get this week. The stock really has not ever recovered from those COVID or from that big COVID downturn. Stock has picked back up a little bit, but we're still hovering in there. How does this season right now, this summer travel season, is that going to get United back on track? And are we going to see data that they really have gotten back on track and are able to make money off of this summer travel season? How much of those canceled flights hurt the airline? And are they able to keep charging these high airfares? We have seen in the CPI inflation data that airfare prices have been down across the board. So how does United deal with that? We heard from Delta last week. Capital One, Bank of America, Goldman, and Morgan Stanley are all out this week. They're going to tell us a lot about the health of the consumer, but a lot more about businesses. Are businesses bullish? Is sentiment picking up? Are they making those deals, mergers and acquisitions? Are they investing? Things like that. We don't know, and we're going to find out, this week when we hear from those companies. Goldman is going to be big. Morgan Stanley is also going to tell us about those wealthy, high net worth individuals, all that. Capital One and B of A are going to tell us a lot about the consumer. How much are they putting aside for loan loss provisions and things like that? Debit card versus credit card spending. We know credit card spending picked up huge for JP Morgan Chase, as well as Wells Fargo. That's what we found out last week. So what's going on with Capital One and Bank of America is what we'll find out this week. So listen, that's going to do it for us here on Market Takes. I appreciate you tuning in. Be sure and check back with us tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. We will be here unpacking the retail sales report tomorrow morning, so I hope you'll stick with us. And we'll do it again tomorrow morning. I hope to see you there on Market Takes.